Sign the papers, Elara, and don't bother reading the fine print. We both know you can't afford a lawyer. Those were the words Elara's husband, Liam, threw at her after 5 years of marriage. He thought he was discarding a penniless, broken woman who scrubbed his floors and clipped coupons to survive. He thought he was trading up for a wealthy mistress. But Liam made a fatal miscalculation. He didn't know that the poor woman he was kicking out to the streets wasn't just Elara the housewife. He was about to declare war on Her Royal Highness, Princess Elara of House Amsberg. And in the Game of Thrones, you don't just lose, you get destroyed. The sound of the heavy manila envelope hitting the coffee table echoed like a gunshot in the small, dimly lit living room of their apartment in downtown Seattle. Liam stood over Elara, adjusting his silk tie, a tie she had bought him for his birthday by saving grocery money for 3 months. He looked at her not with the love he had promised 5 years ago, but with a sneer of pure contempt. "What is this, Liam?" Elara asked, her voice trembling slightly, though not from the fear he imagined. It was from the sheer audacity of the moment. "It's freedom, Elara," Liam scoffed, walking over to the minibar to pour himself a glass of scotch. "Divorce papers. I've already signed them. The apartment is in my name. The car is in my name. And thanks to the prenup you signed when you were starry-eyed and stupid, you get nothing. Well, I'm generous. I'll give you a week to pack your rags." Elara sat on the worn-out beige sofa, looking at the man she had given up everything for. She had left her family, her heritage, and her identity behind to live a normal life with Liam Vance. She wanted to be loved for herself, not for the crown that usually rested on her head or the billions in the royal treasury of Amsberg. "Is there someone else?" she asked quietly. Liam laughed, a cold, harsh sound. "There's been someone else for 6 months, Elara. Someone who actually matches my ambition. You? You're an anchor. You wear the same 3 dresses, you cut coupons, you embarrass me at company dinners with your silence. I'm a junior partner at Sterling and Finch now. I need a power couple image, not a charity case." The front door opened before she could respond. The clicking of high heels on the hardwood floor announced the arrival of the new woman. It was Jessica Thorne. Elara knew her. She was the daughter of one of the senior partners at Liam's firm. She was blonde, impeccably dressed in Chanel, and holding a Birkin bag that cost more than Liam made in a year. "Is it done, babe?" Jessica asked, ignoring Elara completely as she walked up to Liam and kissed him deeply. "Just waiting for her to sign, Jess." Liam smirked, wrapping an arm around her waist. Jessica finally turned to look at Elara, her eyes scanning the simple gray cardigan and jeans with disgust. "Oh, God, Liam, she really does look like the help. How did you sleep with this for 5 years?" "I was charitable," Liam joked. Elara stood up slowly. Her heart was pounding, not with heartbreak, but with a cold, awakening fury. For 5 years, she had played the role of the supportive wife. She had cooked his meals, cleaned this apartment, and even secretly used her connections to ensure Liam got his big break at Sterling and Finch, though he thought it was his own genius. "You want a divorce, Liam?" she asked, her voice steady. "You want to marry Jessica for her father's connections?" "I want to marry a woman who isn't a dead weight," Liam snapped. "Jessica can buy and sell you 1,000 times over, Elara. She's royalty in this city. You're nobody." The irony was so sharp it almost made Elara laugh. "She is royalty in this city?" Elara picked up the pen. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't ask for alimony. "Fine," she said. "But remember this moment, Liam. Remember that you chose this." She signed the paper with a flourish, the signature elegant and practiced, the signature of a woman trained in calligraphy by the finest tutors in Europe, though Liam never noticed. "Done," she said, dropping the pen. Jessica snatched the papers up, checking the signature. "Good. Now, get out. We have a dinner reservation at Le Monarque in an hour, and I don't want your smell lingering in the apartment while I get ready." "A week," Liam corrected, though he looked eager to see her go. "I said I'd give her a week." "No, Jessica pouted. "Tonight. I want her gone, Liam. She can go to a shelter for all I care." Liam looked at Elara, then at Jessica. He shrugged. "You heard the lady. Pack a bag, Elara. Leave the keys on the counter." Lara looked at Liam one last time. She searched for any trace of the man she thought she loved. There was nothing, just greed and arrogance. "I don't need a week," she said softly. "I'll be gone in 10 minutes. She walked into the bedroom. She didn't pack the clothes Liam hated. She didn't pack the cheap jewelry he had bought her to shut her up. She reached under the bed and pulled out a small, battered leather satchel that she had brought with her 5 years ago. Inside was a single passport, a phone with a secured encrypted line, and a small velvet box. She walked back out to the living room. Liam and Jessica were already pouring champagne, celebrating their victory. "Goodbye, Liam," Elara said. "Don't let the door hit you," he called out without looking back. She walked out into the cold Seattle rain. She had no umbrella, no car, and according to them, no money. But as the heavy apartment building door clicked shut behind her, she didn't feel poor. She felt unleashed. The rain soaked through her cardigan instantly, but she didn't care. She walked 2 blocks down to a small, nondescript cafe called the Rusted Anchor. It was quiet, smelling of roasted beans and wet pavement. She sat in the back corner and pulled out the encrypted phone from her leather satchel. It had been turned off for 5 years. She held the power button. The screen flickered to life, displaying a crest, a silver falcon holding a golden rose, the royal crest of House Amsberg. Her fingers hovered over the single contact saved in the speed dial. "Commander Silas." She pressed the button. It rang once. "Your Highness?" The voice on the other end was rough, deep, and sounded like he hadn't exhaled in 5 years. Is that really you?" "It's me, Silas," she said, her voice finally cracking. "Protocol 0 is initiated. My cover is blown. I am coming home." There was a pause, a heavy silence on the line. Then, the sound of movement, chairs scraping, voices barking orders in the background. "We have been waiting for this call for 825 days, Your Highness. The King, your father, he is ill, but he refused to name a successor until he knew you were safe." "I know," she whispered. "I'm safe, but I need extraction." "And Silas?" "Yes, Princess. I need a complete financial audit on a man named Liam Vance and the Sterling and Finch law firm, and prepare the Royal Legal Counsel. I have a loose end to tie up." "With pleasure, ma'am. Where are you?" "Seattle, downtown. I need a place to stay tonight. Something discreet but suitable." "Understood." The royal family owns the penthouse at the Fairmont Olympic. It has been kept empty for you, just in case. A transport team is 3 minutes out. Black SUVs. Do not move. Elara hung up the phone. For the first time in years, she sat up straight. Her posture corrected itself instinctively. Shoulders back, chin high. The shy, mousy Elara Vance was dead. Princess Elara was back. 3 minutes later, 3 black Cadillac Escalades screeched to a halt in front of the coffee shop. The cafe owner, an old man named Jerry, who always gave her free refills because he thought she was struggling, looked out the window, his jaw dropping. 4 men in dark suits jumped out. They were huge, wearing earpieces. They didn't look like standard bodyguards. They moved with the lethal precision of the Royal Guard. The lead man, a giant with a scar running down his cheek, entered the cafe. He scanned the room, locked eyes with her, and immediately dropped to one knee, bowing his head. "Your Highness," he boomed. The other 3 entered and did the same. The entire coffee shop went silent. Jerry dropped a mug. It shattered on the floor. "Rise, Lieutenant," Elara said softly. "Let's not make a scene. The car is ready." "Ma'am," he said, standing up and forming a protective perimeter around her. As she walked out, flanked by the guards, she looked back at Jerry. She pulled a $20 bill, her last one, from her pocket, and placed it on the counter. For the mug, Jerry, and thank you for the coffee. She stepped into the warm leather interior of the lead SUV. It smelled of expensive cedar and safety. Where to first, Your Highness? The hotel? The driver asked. No, she said, looking out the window at the skyline where Liam was currently toasting to his freedom. Take me to the Fairmont. But get me a tablet. I need to see what Liam is doing. And get me the file on Jessica Thorne. Already downloading, ma'am. As the convoy sped off, she opened the tablet. Her heart was hardening. Liam had wanted a divorce because he thought she was poor. He had humiliated her because he thought she was weak. He was about to learn that the poor wife he discarded held the keys to the international trade deals his firm relied on. Sterling & Finch was a boutique firm, but their biggest client was the European Trade Consortium. And the chairperson of that consortium, that was Elara's aunt, the Duchess of Valois. She tapped the screen, drafting a text message to her aunt. Aunt Victoria, it's Elara. I'm back. And I have a favor to ask regarding the Sterling contract. The reply came 10 seconds later. Name it, my dear. Anything for the future queen. She smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Freeze the assets, she typed back, and cancel the merger meeting for Monday. Tell them the royal family is displeased with their representation. Back in the apartment, Liam was likely popping another bottle of Dom Perignon, thinking he had won the lottery by getting rid of her. He had no idea that by Monday morning he wouldn't just be divorced, he would be the most unemployable man in America. The car arrived at the Fairmont. The manager was outside, bowing low. Welcome home, Your Highness. Elara stepped out, the rain no longer bothering her. She wasn't Elara Vance, the housewife who clipped coupons anymore. She was Her Royal Highness Elara of Amsberg, and the reign of terror was just beginning. The champagne at Le Monarque tasted like liquid gold, exactly the way victory was supposed to taste. Liam sat back in the plush velvet booth, watching Jessica laugh at something the waiter said. She looked radiant. Diamonds sparkled at her throat. Real diamonds, not the cubic zirconia he'd had to buy Elara for their anniversary last year because she insisted they save money for a rainy day. Well, it was raining outside, pouring actually, and Elara was out there somewhere with her rainy day fund. Meanwhile, Liam was here, about to order the Wagyu beef. You seem distracted, darling, Jessica purred, reaching across the table to run a manicured fingernail down his hand. Are you feeling guilty about the little mouse? Liam scoffed, taking a sip of the Dom Perignon. Guilty? Jess, I feel light. Do you know what it's like to come home to a woman who counts the electricity usage? A woman whose idea of a big night out is a walk in the park? I felt like I was suffocating for 5 years. Tonight, I can finally breathe. Good, she smiled, her eyes predatory. Because Daddy is coming over. Liam's spine straightened instinctively. Jessica's father, Arthur Sterling, was the senior partner at Sterling & Finch. He was the man who held Liam's career in his hands. Arthur approached the table, looking like a shark in a 3-piece suit. He clapped a heavy hand on Liam's shoulder. Liam, my boy, celebrating, I hear. Just finalizing some personal restructuring, sir, Liam said smoothly. Making sure my focus is 100% on the firm. Arthur nodded approvingly. Good man, you need to be sharp. Monday is the biggest day in the history of this firm. The delegation from the European Trade Consortium is landing. Specifically, the representatives of the Royal House of Amsberg. Liam nodded, trying to look knowledgeable. The Amsberg account. It's worth billions. Trillions, Liam. Arthur corrected, his voice dropping to a reverent whisper. They control the shipping lanes in the northern Atlantic. They are looking for exclusive American legal representation. If we land this, you're not just a junior partner anymore. You're on the board. Liam's heart hammered against his ribs. This was it. The life he deserved. I'm ready, Arthur. I've been studying their portfolio. I know their assets inside and out. Do you? Arthur raised an eyebrow. They are notoriously private. The king is a ghost, and his daughter, the princess. Well, no one has seen her in years. Rumor has it she ran off to live like a commoner. Stupid girl. Imagine trading a crown for a mortgage. Liam laughed, shaking his head. Some people just don't have the ambition for greatness, sir. They settle for mediocrity, like my ex-wife. Well, you're free of her now, Arthur said, checking his Rolex. Get some rest this weekend. Monday morning, 9 a.m., the head of the Amsberg delegation, Lady Victoria, is coming to the office to sign the preliminary retainer. I want you leading the presentation. Don't mess it up. I won't, Liam promised. As Arthur walked away, Jessica squealed and kissed Liam's cheek. Oh my God, Liam, the board! We're going to be the most powerful couple in Seattle. Liam looked out the window at the rain-streaked glass. Somewhere out there, Elara was probably crying on a bus, wondering where she went wrong. He felt a momentary pang, not of regret, but of pity. She was so small, so insignificant. Let's order a second bottle, he told the waiter, and put it on the company tab. I'm the lead on the Amsberg account now. He had no idea that the Amsberg account wasn't just a portfolio of assets. He had no idea that while he was drinking champagne, the Amsberg account was currently sitting in the penthouse of the Fairmont Olympic, plotting the end of his life as he knew it. The shower in the penthouse was a waterfall of steaming hot water, washing away 5 years of grime, cheap soap, and humility. When Elara stepped out, wrapped in a robe made of Egyptian cotton, she didn't recognize the woman in the mirror immediately. The stress lines around her eyes seemed to have vanished, replaced by a cold, steely resolve. She walked into the main suite. Commander Silas was standing by the window, looking out at the city lights through high-tech binoculars. On the large mahogany table, 3 laptops were open, displaying live feeds of global stock markets. Status? She asked, sitting in the leather chair. The extraction is complete, Your Highness, Silas said, turning around. Your identity has been scrubbed from the public record in Seattle. As far as the state is concerned, Elara Vance has left the country. But Princess Elara, he smirked. She has just arrived. And the firm? We have access, Silas said, tapping a keyboard. I've hacked into the Sterling & Finch internal server. It seems your ex-husband is quite the rising star. He is scheduled to lead the presentation for the Amsberg account on Monday morning. Elara laughed softly. It was a dark sound. He's pitching to me? He doesn't even know I own the consortium. He believes he is pitching to Lady Victoria, your aunt, Silas corrected. She is currently en route on the Royal Jet. She lands tomorrow. She picked up a tablet and scrolled through Liam's work emails. She saw the messages between him and Jessica. Subject: the dead weight from l.vance@sterlingfinch.com to j.thorne@sterlingfinch.com. Content: she's finally gone. Signed the papers without a fight. God, she looked pathetic. Can't wait to spend the bonus check on that trip to Cabo. Her hand tightened around the tablet. Pathetic. Silas, she said, her voice dropping an octave. Change the plan. Ma'am? I don't want to just cancel the contract. That's too easy. If we pull the account now, Liam will just blame bad luck. He'll find another job. He'll keep climbing. She stood up and walked to the window, looking at the city that had treated her like garbage for 5 years. I want him to climb, she whispered. I want him to climb so high that when I push him, the fall shatters him. What are your orders? Let the meeting proceed on Monday, she said, turning back to Silas. Tell Aunt Victoria to play along. She is to be impressed by him. She is to give him hope. She is to demand that he personally handles the final signing at the Royal Gala next Friday. The gala? Silas asked. But that creates a security risk. It's a masquerade gala, Silas. She smiled. The perfect stage. Have Aunt Victoria tell Sterling & Finch that the princess herself will be making a rare appearance to sign the contract. Tell them that the princess requires the presence of their brilliant young lawyer, Mr. Liam Vance, and his partner. You want him at the gala? I want him to bow to me, Elara said. I want him to bend the knee to the woman he called trash, without realizing who I am. And then, when the mask comes off. Understood, Silas said. a rare gleam of excitement in his eyes. "I will arrange the invitations." "Oh, and Your Highness?" "Yes?" "Your personal bank accounts have been unfrozen. The balance is currently sitting at $450 million liquid. Do you need anything for the weekend?" She thought about the worn-out jeans in the trash can. She thought about the coupons she used to clip. "Yes," she said. "I need a wardrobe. Get the team from Givenchy and Dior here by morning." "And Silas?" "Buy the building Liam lives in." Silas blinked. "The apartment complex?" "No," she said calmly. "The building. The whole block. Increase the rent by 300% effective immediately. Let's see how much Jessica likes him when his bachelor pad costs $20,000 a month. Consider it done." She walked over to the minibar, but instead of water, she poured a glass of vintage wine. She looked at the reflection in the glass. Elara Vance was dead. She pulled out her phone and saw a notification. It was a localized news alert. Breaking: mysterious real estate group purchases the Kensington Heights in downtown Seattle. Tenants brace for eviction. It had taken Silas less than 2 minutes. She took a sip of wine. "Checkmate in 5 moves, Liam," she whispered to the empty room. Move 1 is complete. The next morning, the transformation began. A team of stylists arrived at 6 a.m. They didn't just dress her. They polished the diamond that had been hidden in the rough. Her hair, usually tied back in a messy bun, was dyed a richer, lustrous chocolate brown and styled into cascading waves. Her skin was treated with creams that cost more than Liam's car. By Sunday night, she looked like a queen. Aunt Victoria arrived at the penthouse late Sunday. She was a formidable woman, sharp-tongued and fiercely protective. When she saw Elara, she didn't hug her. She slapped her lightly on the cheek, a royal wake-up call. "You look thin," she said, critiquing her niece, "and your eyes are too kind. You need to harden your gaze, Elara. We are wolves, not sheep." "I'm done being a sheep, Auntie," Elara said. "Did you review the script for tomorrow's meeting with Liam?" "I did," she smirked, pouring herself tea. "I am to dangle the carrot. I am to make him feel like a god. And then I am to invite him to the slaughter." Perfect. Monday morning arrived with gray skies. But inside the offices of Sterling and Finch, the mood was electric. Elara wasn't there physically, but she was there digitally. Silas had tapped into the conference room's camera. She sat in the penthouse, drinking coffee, watching the large screen on the wall. She saw Liam enter the conference room. He was wearing a new suit, probably bought on credit, anticipating his bonus. He looked arrogant. Jessica was there, too, sitting in the corner, not as a lawyer, but as an assistant, just to be close to the power. Then Aunt Victoria entered. Through the camera, Elara saw Liam swallow hard. Victoria commanded the room. She didn't shake hands. She simply sat at the head of the table. "Mr. Vance," Victoria said, her voice icy through the speakers, "I hear you are the best. Convince me." Elara watched her ex-husband dance. He pulled up charts, he used big words, he talked about synergy and international maritime law. He was good, she had to admit. He was a good liar. "The House of Amsberg needs stability," Liam said, leaning forward. "We can provide that. We treat our partners like family." Elara laughed out loud in the penthouse. "Family?" she mocked. "You don't know the meaning of the word." On the screen, Victoria stayed silent for a long time. Then she smiled. It was the smile of a hunter who just saw the trap snap shut. "Impressive, Mr. Vance," Victoria said. "The Queen has been hesitant, but I think you might be exactly the kind of ruthless pragmatist we need." Liam beamed. "Thank you, Lady Victoria. However," Victoria added, raising a finger, "the contract is too large for me to authorize alone. Her Highness Princess Elara wishes to sign it herself." "The princess?" Liam asked, surprised. "I thought she was unavailable." "She has returned," Victoria said. "She is hosting a masquerade gala this Friday at the Museum of Pop Culture. She specifically requested that the new legal team attend. She wants to look you in the eye before she hands over the treasury keys." Liam looked at Jessica. They shared a look of pure greed. "We would be honored," Liam said. "Good." Victoria stood up. "Formal attire. Masks are mandatory. Do not be late. Her Highness hates tardiness." As Victoria left the room, the feed showed Liam high-fiving Arthur Sterling. Jessica jumped into his arms. "We did it," Liam yelled. "We're meeting the princess." Elara turned off the screen. "Enjoy the victory lap, Liam," she said, standing up and smoothing her silk dress. "Because on Friday, you're going to meet the princess, and she's going to introduce you to hell." The Friday of the gala arrived with a storm that battered Seattle, but inside the Museum of Pop Culture, the atmosphere was electric. The entire venue had been rented out, transformed from a museum into a palace of gold drapes, crystal chandeliers imported from Austria, and enough security to guard a G7 summit. Liam Vance adjusted his mask. It was a sleek, black Venetian domino mask that matched his tuxedo. He felt like $1 million, even though his bank account was currently hemorrhaging. "Stop fidgeting," Jessica hissed. She was clinging to his arm, wearing a scarlet red dress by Illy Saab that was cut aggressively low. She wore a matching red mask with feathers. "You look nervous." "Royals smell fear, Liam." "I'm not nervous," Liam lied. "I'm just alert. And my landlord just hit me with another eviction notice this morning. It's distracting." "Forget the landlord," Jessica snapped. "After tonight, you'll be a partner. You can buy the damn building." They stepped out of the limo and onto the red carpet. Camera flashes blinded them. This was the event of the decade. The return of the Princess of Amsberg was international news. The paparazzi were screaming names: CEOs, Hollywood stars, foreign dignitaries. When Liam and Jessica stepped onto the carpet, no one screamed their names. They were nobodies in a sea of sharks. "Name?" the head of security asked at the massive gilded doors. It was the large man with the scar, the same one who had extracted Elara from the coffee shop, though Liam had never seen him before. Liam Vance and Jessica Thorne. "Representing Sterling and Finch," Liam said, flashing his invite. The guard looked at the list. He didn't smile. He pressed a finger to his earpiece. "The targets are on site." "I repeat, the targets are on site." He unhooked the velvet rope. "Go in. Do not approach the royal box until summoned." Inside, the party was a blur of opulence. A string quartet played softly in the corner, but the music was nearly drowned out by the hum of conversation among the world's elite. Liam grabbed a glass of champagne from a passing tray. His hands were shaking slightly. "Look," Jessica whispered, gripping his arm tightly. "Over there. The balcony." Liam looked up. High above the dance floor, on a private mezzanine draped in royal blue velvet, stood a figure. She was wearing a gown of shimmering silver that looked like it was woven from starlight. A heavy diamond choker rested on her neck, the Star of Amsberg, a gem worth more than the entire law firm Liam worked for. Her face was obscured by an intricate silver mask that covered the upper half of her face, leaving only her mouth and jaw visible. "Is that her?" Liam whispered. "The princess?" "It has to be," Jessica said, her eyes wide with envy. "Look at those diamonds. God, I bet she's never worked a day in her life." "She's the key to everything, Jess," Liam murmured, watching the figure above. "If I sign her tonight, I'm made for life." Suddenly, the music stopped. A hush fell over the crowd as a man in a formal military uniform, Commander Silas, stepped to a microphone on the main stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," his voice boomed. "Her Highness Princess Elara thanks you for joining her. She will now accept private audiences for the finalists of the royal contract bidding." A spotlight swept across the room. Liam held his breath. "Mr. Liam Vance," Silas announced, "please proceed to the royal mezzanine." The room turned to look at him, hundreds of eyes. Liam felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it. The spotlight was on him. "Come on," he said to Jessica, puffing out his chest. They walked through the parting crowd like they owned the place. They ascended the grand marble staircase, passing armed guards at every landing. As they reached the top of the stairs, the air felt thinner, colder. The noise of the party below faded into a dull roar. They stood before a set of double doors. 2 guards opened them. Inside was a private lounge. The walls were lined with dark wood. A fire crackled in the hearth. And there, standing by the fireplace with her back to them, was the woman in the silver dress. Lady Victoria was sitting on a sofa nearby, sipping tea. "Mr. Vance," Victoria said, not rising. "You made it." "Lady Victoria." Liam bowed low. Jessica curtsied awkwardly, nearly tripping in her heels. "It is an honor." "Save the pleasantries," Victoria said dryly. "The princess is tired of suitors and sycophants. She wants to know if you are the man to protect her empire." Liam straightened his tie. He looked at the back of the woman in the silver dress. She hadn't turned around yet. Her posture was rigid, regal. "Your Highness," Liam said, projecting his courtroom voice, "I know you have many firms vying for this honor, but Sterling and Finch offers something they don't. Hunger. We are lean, we are aggressive, and we don't let emotion get in the way of profit." The woman in the silver dress remained silent. "Go on," Victoria prompted. "Tell her about your restructuring." Liam smiled. This was his ace in the hole. "I understand the need for focus, Your Highness. Just this week, I personally eliminated all distractions from my life. I divorced my wife because she lacked the vision required for this level of success. I cut away the dead weight so I could dedicate myself fully to the Amsberg account." Jessica chimed in, stepping forward. "He's true to his word, Your Highness. His ex-wife was a simple woman. No ambition. She held him back. Liam is a man who knows quality when he sees it." The woman in the silver dress finally moved. She turned around slowly. She was still wearing the mask. Her blue eyes locked onto Liam's. There was something familiar in them, something that made the hair on the back of Liam's neck stand up. But the context was so impossible, his brain refused to make the connection. "Dead weight?" the princess asked. Her voice was different, lower, smoother, with a clipped, aristocratic transatlantic accent that Elara Vance never had. "Yes, Your Highness," Liam said, gaining confidence. "She was small, a burden. You need a man who isn't afraid to make hard choices." The princess took a step forward. The diamonds at her throat caught the firelight. "And you, Miss Thorne?" the princess asked, looking at Jessica. "You are the upgrade?" Jessica preened. "I like to think so, Your Highness. I come from a family of lawyers. I understand the world of power, unlike his ex," the princess laughed. It was a cold, sharp sound. "You understand power? Interesting." She walked over to a small table where a single document lay. A pen rested beside it. "This is the contract," the princess said. "Exclusive representation. 5 years. A retainer of $50 million a year." Liam's knees almost buckled. 50 million. His cut would be 5 million a year. "I am ready to sign," Liam said, reaching for the pen. "Wait," the princess commanded. "One clause. Read the fine print, Mr. Vance." "Always read the fine print." Liam looked down at the document. He scanned the bottom paragraph. Clause 14. The signatory acknowledges that all assets, current and future, of the undersigned law firm shall be subject to audit by the Crown. Furthermore, the signatory admits to full liability for any personal grievances caused to the Crown or its family members. It was standard boilerplate, Liam shrugged. "It looks standard, Your Highness." "Good," she whispered. "Then sign." Liam signed his name with a flourish. Liam Vance. He set the pen down. "Done. We are partners." "Partners?" the princess repeated. She reached up to the ribbon behind her head that held her mask in place. "There is just one thing, Liam." "Yes?" "You didn't cut the dead weight," she said, her voice dropping the accent, returning to the soft, clear voice he had heard in his kitchen for 5 years. You just handed her the knife. Liam froze. The world seemed to stop spinning. The princess pulled the ribbon. The silver mask fell away. The silence in the room was absolute. It was heavy, suffocating, like the air before a tornado touches down. Liam stared. He blinked, once, twice. His brain was misfiring, trying to reconcile two impossible realities. The woman, standing before him, was draped in diamonds, radiating power and beauty that belonged on a magazine cover. But the face, the eyes, the slightly crooked nose he used to kiss. "Elara?" he whispered. The word came out as a breathless croak. Jessica gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. No, that's impossible. You're the maid. You're the nobody." Elara didn't scream. She didn't yell. She simply smiled, a terrifyingly calm smile. "I am Princess Elara of House Amsberg," she said, her voice steel. "Duchess of Valois, keeper of the Northern Treasury, and until 4 days ago, I was the woman who washed your underwear, Liam." Liam stumbled back, hitting the edge of the sofa. "But you, the coupons, the apartment. You were poor. We were broke." "You were broke, Liam," Elara corrected, stepping closer. "I was hiding. I wanted a life where I was loved for me, not my title. I wanted to know if a man could love Elara the person, not Elara the bank account. I gave you 5 years to prove you were closed. A good man." She looked him up and down with pure disdain. "You failed. This is a joke," Jessica shrieked, her face turning blotchy red. "This is some kind of sick prank. Liam, tell her to stop." "Silence." Aunt Victoria stood up, her voice cracking like a whip. "You are addressing the future queen. One more outburst, and I will have the royal guard remove you." Jessica clamped her mouth shut, trembling. Liam's face was pale, sweat beading on his forehead. "Elara, honey, wait, I didn't know. If I had known—" "If you had known, you would have stayed," Elara finished for him. "Not out of love, but out of greed. That's what hurts, Liam. Not that you left, but that you are so painfully predictable." Liam looked at the contract on the table, the contract he had just signed. "The contract," he stammered. "We're partners. I signed it. You signed it." Elara picked up the document. "Oh, this? Yes. You signed Clause 14, liability for personal grievances against the Crown." She tossed the paper to Aunt Victoria. "Do you know what the penalty is for fraud and emotional distress against a member of the royal family in my country, Liam?" Liam shook his head, terrified. "It's not jail," Elara said. "It's total financial seizure." She snapped her fingers. The side door opened. Arthur Sterling, the senior partner, walked in. He looked furious. Behind him were 2 police officers. "Mr. Sterling?" Liam asked, confused. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here to fire you, you idiot," Arthur spat. "Her Highness just informed me of your conduct, and she just bought Sterling and Finch." Liam's jaw dropped. "What?" "I bought the firm this morning," Elara said casually, examining her fingernails. "Hostile takeover, cost me pocket change." "Which means, Liam, I am now your boss. And as your boss, I'm accepting your resignation. Without severance, effective immediately." "You can't do this," Liam pleaded, tears finally welling in his eyes. "Elara, please. I have nothing." "The apartment—" "Oh, the apartment," Elara smiled. "I bought that building too. Your rent is 3 months overdue thanks to the hike. The eviction team is clearing your things out as we speak. I believe they leave items on the curb if not collected within an hour. Since it's raining, I'd hurry." Liam looked at Jessica for support, but Jessica was already backing away, physically distancing herself from him. "I didn't know," Jessica cried out to Elara. "He told me he was single. He dragged me into this." Elara turned her gaze to Jessica. "And you, Jessica Thorne, the woman who called me, the help." Jessica whimpered. "Your father, Arthur, tells me you are on the company credit card for that dress," Elara noted. "Aye, since I own the company now," Elara said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "That is theft of corporate assets. You can either pay me back the $12,000 for the dress right now, or the officers can escort you out." Jessica looked at Liam, then at Elara. She took off the diamond earrings she was wearing and threw them on the table. She fumbled in her purse and threw a credit card down. "I'm done with him," Jessica yelled. "He's a loser. I don't want anything to do with him." She turned and ran out of the room, leaving Liam standing alone in the center of the plush carpet. Liam looked at Elara. The arrogance was gone. The pride was gone. He was just a small man in a cheap tuxedo. "Elara," he begged, falling to his knees. "Please, I'm sorry. I love you. We can fix this. I'm your husband." "Ex-husband," Elara corrected. She walked over to him. For a second, Liam thought she might offer him a hand. He saw a flicker of the woman who used to make him soup when he was sick. But that woman was gone. Elara leaned down, her face inches from his. "You said I was an anchor, Liam," she whispered. "You were right, but you forgot one thing about anchors." "What?" he sobbed. "When you cut them loose, the ship tends to drift into the storm." She stood up and turned her back on him. "Guards," she commanded, "remove this trespasser from my gala. He is ruining the view." Two massive guards grabbed Liam by the arms. He screamed Elara's name as they dragged him backward, his heels scuffing the expensive marble. Elara didn't look back. She walked to the balcony where the party was raging below. She stepped out, the lights hitting her silver dress, turning her into a beacon. Below, the crowd cheered for the princess. But the story wasn't over. Liam Vance was destroyed, yes, but a wounded animal is dangerous. And as he was thrown out into the rainy Seattle street, mud splashing onto his tuxedo, Liam didn't just feel sadness, he felt rage. He pulled his phone out of his pocket. It was cracked from the fall. He dialed a number, a shady private investigator he had used for divorce cases in the past. "Hello," the voice answered. "It's Vance." Liam spat, wiping mud from his face. "I want you to dig. I want you to find everything on the Royal House of Amsberg. Every scandal, every secret. I'm going to burn her kingdom to the ground." Little did Liam know, Elara was listening to that call too. Inside the penthouse, Silas tapped his earpiece. "He's making a call, Your Highness. He's threatening retaliation." Elara sipped her champagne, watching the rain fall against the glass. "Let him try," she said. "Part 7 is just beginning." 3 weeks had passed since the night of the gala. 3 weeks of rain in Seattle, matching the storm that was raging inside Liam Vance's life. He was currently living in the Blue Horizon Motel on the outskirts of the city, a place where the neon sign flickered ominously and the walls were thin enough to hear the neighbors arguing at 3 a.m. His luxury apartment was gone, his belongings seized to pay back the rent and damages. Jessica Thorne had blocked his number and filed a restraining order, claiming he had misled her about his financial status. He was a pariah in the legal community. No firm would touch the man who tried to con the House of Amsberg, but Liam Vance wasn't done. He sat on the stained mattress, surrounded by takeout boxes, staring at a laptop he had stolen from the office, before being escorted out. "Gotcha," he muttered, his eyes bloodshot. The private investigator, a sleazy man named Rickards who charged by the hour, had sent over a file. It was a digital scan of a birth certificate and a hospital record from a small clinic in Switzerland. According to Rickards, Elara wasn't the biological daughter of the king. The document suggested she was adopted, a secret kept to ensure the lineage continued. If this was true, her claim to the throne was illegitimate. Her control over the treasury was void. Liam laughed, a dry, manic sound. "You want to play chess, Elara?" I'm about to flip the board." He drafted an email to the Seattle Chronicle, the New York Times, and every major tabloid in Europe. The subject line: "The fake princess, evidence of fraud." He hit send. "Let's see how regal you look when the world knows you're a fraud," he whispered. He didn't have to wait long. Within 2 hours, his phone blew up. Not with reporters, but with a single call from a blocked number. He answered it. "Hello? Ready to negotiate, Elara?" "Mr. Vance," a deep voice answered. It was Commander Silas. "Her Highness has received your email. She would like to meet. One final time." "She's scared." Liam smirked. "Tell her to meet me at the old warehouse district. Pier 4. Alone. We will be there in 20 minutes. Liam put on his only remaining suit jacket, which was wrinkled and stained. He felt a surge of power returning. He was going to blackmail her for millions. He would get his life back. He drove his dented sedan to Pier 4. The rain was torrential now. The warehouse was dark, the sound of the ocean crashing against the pilings filling the air. He stepped out, holding the flash drive with the evidence high in the air. "Elara!" he shouted into the darkness. "Come out! I know the truth!" Floodlights suddenly snapped on, blinding him. Liam shielded his eyes. Elara stood 20 feet away, flanked not by guards but by a camera crew. She was wearing a simple trench coat, holding a black umbrella. She looked calm, almost bored. "The truth, Liam," she called out, her voice amplified by the acoustics of the warehouse. "Do you really think you know the truth?" "I have the documents," Liam yelled, waving the drive. "You're adopted. You have no royal blood. If I release this, you lose everything. The crown, the money, the power, it all goes away." Elara laughed. She signaled to Silas, who was standing beside a large monitor set up on a portable table. "Show him," she said. The monitor flickered to life. It showed a video recording. It was the interior of a seedy office. Liam recognized it instantly. It was Rickard's office. The PI he had hired. But Rickards wasn't alone in the video. He was counting a stack of cash. "Thanks for the tip, Commander," Rickard said on the video. "I'll send Vance the fake adoption papers you fabricated. He's desperate enough to believe anything." The video ended. Liam froze. The blood drained from his face. What is this?" "You hired Rickards," Elara said, stepping closer, her heels clicking on the wet pavement. "But Rickards works for the Crown. We've been monitoring him for years. We knew you would look for dirt, Liam, so we planted it. We gave you exactly what you wanted to find." It's fake?" Liam stammered. "Of course it's fake," Elara said, her eyes flashing with cold fire. "I am the blood of House Amsberg. My lineage is documented back to the 12th century. But you just committed a felony." "What?" "Blackmail," Elara listed. "Attempted extortion of a foreign dignitary. And, thanks to that email you sent to the press, libel. I didn't mean it. It was a mistake." Liam backed away, but he bumped into the bumper of a police cruiser that had silently rolled up behind him. "But that's not the worst part, Liam," Elara continued, her voice softening, almost pitiful. "While you were busy trying to find secrets about me, my auditors were going through the books at Sterling and Finch." She pulled a folded paper from her coat pocket. "You were desperate to keep up with Jessica's lifestyle, weren't you? The dinners, the trips. You were spending money you didn't have. So you borrowed it. From the client escrow accounts." Liam's knees gave out. He collapsed onto the wet asphalt. Embezzlement. It was the one sin a lawyer could never come back from. $1.2 million, Elara read. "Stolen from widows and orphans whose trusts you were supposed to protect. You're not just a bad husband, Liam. You're a criminal." The police officer stepped forward, cuffs jingling. "Liam Vance," the officer announced. "You are under arrest for grand larceny, embezzlement, and extortion." As they pulled Liam to his feet, he looked at Elara. He looked at the woman he had discarded. She looked untouchable. Radiant. "Elara," he croaked, tears mixing with the rain on his face. "Why? Why go this far? You could have just left. You could have just divorced me and been happy." Elara signaled the officers to pause. She walked up to him, close enough that he could smell her perfume, a scent of jasmine and rain that he would remember for the rest of his life in a concrete cell. "I could have," she whispered. "But you didn't just break my heart, Liam. You broke my trust in people. You made me feel small so you could feel big. I didn't do this for revenge. I did this to remind you that true power isn't about money or status." She leaned in closer. "True power is character. And you, my dear husband, are bankrupt." She nodded to the officers. "Take him away." Elara watched as they shoved Liam into the back of the cruiser. He pressed his face against the glass, watching her. As the car drove away, disappearing into the rainy Seattle night, Elara didn't feel triumph. She felt peace. She turned to Silas. "Is the jet ready?" "It is, Your Majesty," Silas said. "The king is waiting." "Good," Elara said, turning back to the waiting convoy of SUVs. "I'm done with Seattle. It's time to go home." She got into the car, closing the door on her past forever. The poor wife, was gone. The Queen was rising. The downfall of Liam Vance became a cautionary tale in the legal world of Seattle, a story whispered in boardrooms and bars. He was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison for embezzlement. Jessica Thorne was disbarred for her complicity and forced to move back to her parents' home, her social standing in ruins. As for Elara, she returned to Amsberg, where she eventually took the throne. She ruled with a wisdom and compassion that surprised her council, a perspective gained from years of scrubbing floors and clipping coupons. She never remarried, but she was never lonely. She filled her court with people chosen not for their lineage but for their character. Every year, on the anniversary of her divorce, she would receive a single letter from a federal penitentiary. She never opened them. She simply placed them in the fireplace and watched them burn, the ashes rising up the chimney like the ghosts of a life she had outgrown. In the end, Liam was right about one thing. Elara was hiding something. She wasn't hiding poverty. She was hiding her worth. And that was a treasure he was too blind to see until he had already lost it. What a tragic end for a man blinded by greed. Liam had a queen right in front of him, but he was too focused on the glitter of fool's gold to see her true value. It makes you wonder how many of us overlook the blessings we have because we're too busy chasing something better. If you enjoyed this story of royal justice and karma, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think Elara's revenge was justified, or did she go too far? Let me know your thoughts down below. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a new story. Thanks for watching, and remember, be careful who you discard, for they might just be wearing a crown in the shadows.